O'Brien has never told anyone this story, and lets us know right away that he's ashamed of it because it exposes him as a coward. Here we go then. It begins in June of 1968 when O'Brien drafted. O'Brien doesn't believe that the war is right and thinks the country's reasons for going to war aren't solid enough to warrant a whole lot of killing. When O'Brien gets his draft notice in the mail and thinks that he's too good for the war and just obviously unsuited for combat. He hates camping, blood, and authority for starters. He spends that summer working in a meat packing plant, which is completely gross. Obviously, he's also incredibly stressed about his upcoming stint in the army. The only available option, other than going to Vietnam, seems to be running away to Canada. Finally, one day he breaks. He leaves work, goes home, takes a shower, leaves a note for his parents, and starts to drive toward Canada. When he gets to the Rainy River, which separates Minnesota from Canada, he finds an old, broken-down fishing resort called the Tip Top Lodge. Its owner is Elroy Birdall, an 81-year-old man. O'Brien starts at the Tip Top Lodge for 6 days, and Elroy mostly remains silent. O'Brien is the only guest at the Tip Top Lodge, and he is pretty sure that Elroy knows why he's there. O'Brien is starting to freak out about his quest to Canada. He's right there, but he can't seem to make himself take the plunge. He fantasizes about it a lot, and a lot of those fantasies end up with him being chased down by the FBI. He isn't sure he wants to leave his country forever. Through it all, Elroy never asks O'Brien a question. O'Brien appreciates it since he's reasoned himself completely out of rationality and has now come straight up against two conflicting instincts. On the 6th day, Elroy takes O'Brien fishing on the Rainy River. Elroy cuts the engine about 20 yards from the Canadian side of the river, and O'Brien is now faced with the dilemma: jump and swim to the other side or stay. Paralyzed, O'Brien starts to cry. Elroy pretends not to notice. All of a sudden, on the Minnesota side of the river, he sees a hallucination of his family, the mayor, old teachers, everyone he's ever met in his life. All his hallucination friends are yelling at him either to jump and swim to Canada or to stay where he is. And he tries to jump overboard. And he can't. He's too embarrassed, and Elroy bears witness. O'Brien leaves the lodge the next morning. He drives back home and heads to Vietnam.